Hey there, it's Crystal Diaz here. When it comes to improving your vocal skills, whether it's for singing or speaking, one of the challenges is really knowing how to practice, because it's not enough to know what skills you need to develop or what habits you need to change. You actually have to do it, right? You have to get your reps in. It's very much like going to the gym. It's not enough to know what exercises you're going to do. You actually have to get into the gym and do it repeatedly, right? You can't just do it once. But the problem is that if you are practicing and you're doing it over and over again, but you're not sure whether or not you are actually making progress because you don't have somebody there watching you and monitoring you and really reflecting back and telling you, yes, this is right, or, do it this way instead, it can actually get very unmotivating, right? Because you're practicing and you're putting your reps in, but you're not sure if you're doing it right, or you're not sure if you're actually just wasting your time. It's very easy to want to fall off that bandwagon. So what should you do? Well, I have a student inside my Singers Connect membership program. His name is Lucas, and he's based in Toronto, and he is an up-and-coming singer-songwriter. And he and I caught up recently for one of our private lessons because I work with him privately as well. It's funny because if you are enrolled inside my membership program and you are taking lessons with either myself or one of our mentor coaches, then you actually have a private playlist where we upload all of our lessons, recordings of our lessons, so that you can review them and practice along with your video. And the funny thing is that all of us coaches behind the scenes can actually see from the platform whether or not you have watched your video. And we can see how many times you've watched your videos. And so Lucas is probably one of the most consistent students that I have when it comes to practicing. And I know this because every time I log into that platform and I check out who's been practicing and who is watching their videos, his name comes up over and over again. And I don't just mean one time. Like he would be watching one video 10 times, right? So I know he's been practicing. And so recently we had a lesson and I wanted to ask him about his process. And this conversation turned into a mini impromptu interview where Lucas shares what has helped him, his mindset when it comes to practicing and the challenges that he faced and how he overcame them and the results that he now has from being consistent. So hopefully when you watch this video, you'll be able to get some insights that you can use to apply to your own practice sessions, and hopefully some motivation and inspiration as well to continue practicing, to stick with it. Because with consistent practice, you do things over and over again. If you're doing them correctly and you're doing it with that intention of improving, you will get there. Now, if you are practicing or you want to get into it and you really want somebody there to monitor your progress and to guide you in a more interactive way, then consider joining our Singers Connect membership. You can check out the different membership options that we have by going to theonlinevocalacademy.com. There's a link in the description where you are watching this video. In the meantime, enjoy this interview with Lucas.
Let's get started. What's something that's going on in your voice that you want to focus on today? I know that you've been looking at your videos and I know you've been practicing because I see it.
Yeah, like near the middle of my watching, like I watched several times, near the middle, like I can better understand like the coordination and like the speed.
What do you mean near the middle of your watching?
Like I watched like maybe if I watched it 10 times, like on the fifth time I understood it better. Like in the first 5 times I didn't really like I was doing it and I thought I got it, but then I like had like a better realization in the middle of like coordination and like the speed of the air.
What do you think clicked into place? Was it just a case of repeating and just feeling it?
'Cause I feel like conceptually I understood what you were saying, but it didn't really feel right. It felt like I was using a lot of effort to try to do it, and I was getting like closer, kind of, but not really. And then eventually it just happened. I was mainly practicing like the hums on a glide. Like I was able to do it with less effort, but a little more power than before.
Yeah, that's awesome. How do you think that translated to singing? Like once you got it in the exercises, and then I'm assuming you sang the songs, were you able to apply what you did better? Like how was that process for you?
Yeah, that was not as obvious, but like I think just the main small takeaway was the air speed and like per note, like the amount of like more groundedness. Before I would equate that to like being more loud and trying in the throat, but I'm trying to like be able to stay grounded with the coordination and the speed, but still be like quiet and controlled in the front. I never sang like that before.
And when you listen back, are you surprised by the results? Because sometimes when people go smaller, right? Sometimes I say that I'm like, go smaller. They feel like they're not, it won't be as strong, or they won't have the expressiveness. Even for myself, I remember my own development. Sometimes I'm like, oh, yeah, I didn't really need that much effort that I thought, and still sounds pretty good. Did you kind of come across that too?
I think it was still just as resonant.
Yes, still just as resonant, just not as effortful. That's awesome. What would you say is helped you in terms of your mindset as you're practicing? I'm asking you these questions because I want to share this, by the way. I hope you're okay with me sharing this
Yeah,
with,
it's okay.
because this is because I see you and you're so consistent. And of course we've had many sessions together, but I know you are probably the most consistent in terms of practicing because I can see you watching your videos. And I see other people watching theirs too, but I'm like, every week there's like 4 times, 6 times, 7 times that you're watching. So what do you think, what advice would you give to other students or other singers in terms of the mentality and the mindset of just repeating something ad nauseum?
I just I just really want to get better because like clearly those exercises reveal a part of my voice that needs work. So doing them would help me achieve my goal of singing better.
So, when I talked about practicing with intention, and sometimes, you've been practicing for some time, right? It's a few years that we've been working together. But sometimes students in the beginning are like, I don't know what I'm listening for. I don't know what is the intention? And they follow my instructions, but it takes some time for the awareness to kick in, right? I think that's how I'm interpreting it in terms of how you are explaining it, that you're repeating it, but it takes like the fifth or sixth time when your awareness starts to kick in. And that is exactly the process that you have to practice with intention. So what do you think helps you in terms of what you're paying attention to? What do you focus on? Or are you blank? Are you just going through it and just trying to hear it and feel it?
One part is throat tension and like whether after I do it I feel more closed off and like how free I feel while doing the exercises, like if I can go up and down easier. A lot of it's feeling too. Unless my feeling is wrong, I assume it feels right. And then some parts is in previous lessons, like you asked me to do, like when we do the actual song, you asked me to sing a specific way. And during that lesson, I wouldn't fully understand why I'm doing it this way. Or like you asked me to sing in a more contained way, and I can understand it better. And that's how I know I can like that's how I know I'm in the right direction when I agree more with what you're saying.
Because I was
Like I'm
going to
not
say the
like
same.
like it's not as blind. Like I'm not
Okay.
blindly following.
Got it, got it. You said a couple things that I think is really noteworthy. One is focusing on just, you didn't say like 10 things. Pitch, rhythm, you didn't say all those things. You actually were talking about the function of the voice. You're talking about the physical feeling of making these sounds. So just tuning your awareness to actually notice what you're feeling. And then you said about, I hope my feeling is right. And I do think that there is a period of time where we are, as we are practicing, honing our own trust and our abilities to be able to pay attention correctly. Right. And then I remember our conversation, sometimes I'm like, oh, this is the way. And you're like, but it doesn't feel right. Like, I remember we would have these conversations, right? I'm like, well, you're gonna have to trust me. Like, that's why, you have a coach, right? You're gonna have to trust me. As you go back and listen to your exercises and go back to videos or trainings that we've done in the past, then you're like, oh, now I get it. And that alignment of understanding is showing you that you're making progress, but also showing you that you're moving in the right direction. And I think all of that works together because the more you start to get in alignment or understanding with stuff that you've done in the past, then you understand the gap. Like you understand, oh, I was here and now I'm here and now I get it. Then that's when you're really making, you're making progress, and it all functions together in terms of your learning and your development. So that's great. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No
I
problem.
wanna I'm gonna take this little section, I'm gonna cut it out and send it to the rest of them. Like, you want to know how to practice? You really want to know how to get better? Do this. All right, like, that's awesome. Okay, let's start now. Let's do your lesson. What do you want to work on today?